Like the metaverse will keep like evolving based on product and technology to allow us to have like even deeper and richer social interaction, allow us to explore lands and experiences that are more than games. So virtual concerts, virtual shows.
This is a podcast that we want to focus on the journey for startup building from zero to hero. And we would like to host all the amazing founders in Web3 industry, in crypto, and they would share their amazing journey in this and also like a lot of insight, hopefully that we can bring a lot of values to our other founders and community. So thank you so much, Sebastien. How should I call you, Seth or Sebastien?
Oh, yeah. Seth is great.
Okay. So welcome, Seth, and thank you so much for your time. You are amazing, founder, and you also like top influencers in this industry. In 2022, you are top 4, top influencer in top 100 people over the world. And you also the co-founder, the CEO of Sandbox. So we would like to have your, inspiration for it. What brings you to this? And then what is the inspiration for you to start this journey?
All right. Well, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and have the chance to share a little bit about my entrepreneur journey.
Yes.
I guess as far as I remember, I've always been like a geek and early adopter of new technologies.
Yes.
Like from whether the first video game console I had, like my Super Nintendo and Super Mario World, or from there on, I always had like the new video game console when they launch, new games, new smartphone, latest gadget. And I enjoy like testing them and seeing what could be made from those technologies. So that drove me into like engineering school. And from there, I did an exchange program at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And from there, I met my co-founder, Arthur Madrid, and when I came back to France, I joined him on his first startup, which was like a company building a peer-to-peer solution for video on-demand website, catch-up TV, etc. That got acquired after 2 years. Then together we co-founded another startup, this time into sharing photo, video, and music in the cloud with your friends from anywhere and being able to play, stream them before Spotify, before Netflix. And then that company got acquired again. And then in 2011, I fall into smartphones with the iPhone and Android. And at that time, I saw an opportunity. So, now I can finally accomplish that dream I had when I was a kid to make my own video games, because game development, application development is becoming accessible again. Just small team, 1 person, 2 people could make it from their garage. And that led us to this journey of building free-to-play games with main IPs and characters like Snoopy, Garfield, Addams Family, and Sandbox, the first version of Sandbox on mobile. Fast forward, that game was very successful. We had 40 million downloads over 8 years.
Wow.
And we've been acquired by a bigger gaming group, Animoca Brands out of Hong Kong, in 2018. And from there on, we continued the journey. So I guess I can say I'm a serial entrepreneur. I always want to push adoption of technology, and falling in love with blockchain, discovering it in around 2017. I wanted to understand everything about Bitcoin, how it works, the mining, the protocol, and so on. And we found out the first blockchain game, CryptoKitties. And through that, I discovered NFTs. And through that, I discovered how NFTs could actually be a solution to a problem I was seeing in Sandbox. Sandbox, as a user-generated content game, brought 70 million player-made creation. But even those top creators that we were featuring and very close to, they were leaving our game over time because somehow social fame and recognition was insufficient, and we couldn't give them a monetization. It was just not possible on the App Store and Google Play Store. And we found NFT, to actually be the solution. So decentralizing the assets of the game and applying the possibility to the content made by those creators to be owned by them, to be used in Sandbox, but anywhere else, and to be sold outside of the game on marketplaces, really came into the solution. And from there on, we spun out Sandbox as its own dedicated entity. We raised funds in 2019, $4.5 million with True Global Venture, Square Enix, Hashed. And then again in 2021, $93 million this time with SoftBank, LG Tech Venture, and just this week, 20 million, but on a 1 billion valuation. So officially now Sandbox is a unicorn, sorry. And well, that's basically 16 years of my life. And people now see like maybe the success of Sandbox, the fact that we have over 5.8 million users, thousands of experiences live, 400 major brands and partners. But I would say it's a success that still in the making, and that took us since 2011. So already 13 years in building Sandbox franchise until where it is today. So I guess that's a little bit my short, in a nutshell, my entrepreneur journey.
That's
that we'll be
amazing
sharing, right?
journey. And congratulations for the achievement of Sandbox also after like 13 years. Yeah. So also like in NFT and Metaverse, Sandbox is the top name, right? For all, even for the investor, for the players, for even the retail brands, right? For the artists. And how did you do that? How you can attract all the attention, and what is your vision with Sandbox and with that Metaverse? So
the vision with Sandbox, even when we started in mobile, was already how do we empower people to become creators? And by empowering, like give them access to technology so they can make their own games or all sort of content without, in very accessible way, like without the complexity of learning a programming language and so on. So on mobile, it was just by the touch of your finger on the touch screen, you drop pixels, it creates 2D worlds and you can add elements, characters, enemies, doors. You make games, you make art, you make music, you share it in an online gallery with others. On the new version that used blockchain, it became a 3D virtual world, multiplayer, social, and it has a few tools behind that we release, a 3D editor called VoxEdit, where you can make content almost like digital Legos, so in voxels, very accessible, and a no-code game maker. So you just drag and drop, and you can start creating experience, even if you've never made video games in your life.
I tried, actually.
You tried?
Yes,
right.
I tried.
I'd love to see what you did there. But it's exactly that. We onboard first-time creators, people who are not with an engineering background, who never thought maybe they could make video games one day. And here they are, and they can bring to life their imagination. I think that's the first thing, is really the accessibility of Sandbox. The second is like, somehow, like we establish Sandbox as a brand of its own. Like we build a form of company culture and culture for the community as well, since it's a decentralized virtual world, where we use blockchain technology, Web3 and NFT to empower those creators to own their creation. And we always wanted to truly decentralize one day Sandbox. So it's part of our white paper. When you read it over the next over 5 years, we would decentralize Sandbox and launch a DAO. Actually, we've just done that 2 weeks ago. We introduced the DAO, and now through that, players, creators, they are gaining more autonomy, more freedom, and they can start submitting their own proposal and vote on existing proposal to suggest the future of the roadmap of the game, like the player status, the reward that we should distribute, the gameplay mechanics we should implement. But not only things that relate to the product development or the community itself, but also all the initiative that will allow the ecosystem around Sandbox to grow. So around education, but also initiative around like charity, sustainability, environment, and so on. And I guess that's very important, because ultimately I think this is really new. It's quite experimental to have a DAO that will govern the future of our virtual world. But the vision is like, it's a world that can be persistent and can exist forever, even if the core team is no longer there. That is owned by the players and the creator who contribute to grow it and have a stake into it through owning the token Sand or the lands that they are building the world onto.
I actually also bought the land.
Oh, amazing. So you're very much into the community. Congratulations. You're one of the 27,000 unique builders, and you can also, landowners, and you can also participate in voting in the governance. I guess the third thing that really made Sandbox very popular is by all those brands partnership. Like it started with The Walking Dead, Care Bears, and then Atari, and then Ubisoft, Warner Music, Gucci, Lacoste, and so on. And so 400 major brands, not just from Western culture, but also from Hong Kong, from Japan, from Korea, from Turkey, from Thailand. And now we're here in Vietnam, and just yesterday we unveiled the first partner from Vietnam as well. So we've been very inclusive of like the culture from all those different regions of the world where we have teams on the ground, bringing those partners, onboarding them to Web3 and the Metaverse, and allowing people to create or co-create with their favorite brands or to play with their favorite characters as their avatar. Like I can play as Snoop Dogg, as Steve Aoki, as Paris Hilton, as the Rabbits, and so on. There's 20 collections from those. So all the brands, like really, it makes Sandbox unique in the sense that there is no other decentralized virtual world with so many brands where you can choose your identity, pick who you want to be. And like you have this mixture of characters from all those different universes. It's like a modern Disneyland theme park, multi-brands. That's exciting and very cultural, like very many cultures from different regions of the world, including like fashion, sport, music, entertainment, and so on. I guess the fourth thing that really contributed to the success of Sandbox to be known as the tokens themselves. Like you were talking about lands. So we're also known as one of the largest, the most important virtual real estate virtual world. So we have this map of 166, 464 lands in total. Each one is an NFT. And instead of selling all of it right from the beginning, back in 2018 or 19, we progressively introduce neighborhoods of this map during land sales of, I don't know, 500, 1,000 land at once. And we curated those neighborhoods by bringing top celebrities, music artists, brands. So when Snoop Dogg entered Sandbox, owning a land, and people were able to become the virtual neighbor of Snoop Dogg, it really attracted a lot of players, a lot of creators. And this has been a huge success formula. We sold about 75% of the map. Today we have 27,000 unique landowners, which makes us also the most decentralized and distributed. And we keep adding, like we did Koreaverse, Thaiverse. We're working on major entertainment IPs that we'll announce in a couple of weeks. This attracts creators. And on the other side, we have another token in Sandbox beyond the avatar and the land, which is the Sand token. Sand is the utility token of the platform, powering the marketplace where you can mint your content or sell it. You buy the land using Sand and you earn Sand as you complete quests in your land. And Sand has become as well a top 10 gaming token and a top 100 cryptocurrency according to CoinMarketCap. And it's one of the few cryptocurrencies that's available globally in the US on Coinbase, in Korea on Upbit and Bithumb, in Japan on CoinCheck, in Europe on over 100 exchanges, which means like somehow also people who don't know about Sandbox or who don't know about creating or playing, if they think about Metaverse, they look, or if you think about gaming, they look at the token, they discover Sand, and somehow they get also involved, and progressively they also discover about Sandbox. So that's been also one of the reasons that contributed to build the brand in general.
But like some people also like kind of skeptical of it. They see that, you know, risk, like nowadays it's still very, very early days of crypto, right? And then that's why people just like care about the token, the pump and dump games, and they just want to get rich fast. So they just buy the token, but they don't really understand, you know, what is the utility of it? Or even for the gaming, they say that, oh, gaming in this like is very boring. It's not like fun game as in, the Web2 actual game for players. What do you think about this, and how do you see, it's gonna change in the future? Yeah.
Well, you're actually raising a very good point here. Like many early projects and games that use blockchain technology, they tend to forget about the fun, they tend to forget about the utility of their tokens. At Sandbox, also one of the reasons that we're so successful and so many brands are trusting us, so many creators, because we've been committed from the beginning to build and launch the product first before we introduce the tokens. So Sand only came 2 years after we built the creation tools, and we already had a community of creators active and contributing. We have constantly updating the creation tool with new features. The last update called 0.10 from April actually had so many great features about multiplayer, better graphic, much faster loading speed, new rules for gameplay, so you can do first person, projectile, runner, shooter, platformer, and many cool things. So we keep really delivering and showcasing concretely what can be done by the brands, by the players, by the creators. I don't know a lot of projects where as soon as you buy an NFT as a player, say an avatar, you can play immediately with it in the game.
Yeah.
Every time we launch something, we don't want people to wait 6 months, 2 years to be able to use that token. It has to be very almost immediate, instant. So that's one thing. The second thing is the broader level, at the ecosystem level of blockchain gaming. We understood indeed that there was a misconception by a lot of people, specifically even within the gaming industry, free-to-play games, Web2 games. They thought, like you say, blockchain is a scam, blockchain game are Bitcoin, nonsense. So we established, I was not one of the 8 founder originally, but I became a year after the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance. Today it's an association, non-profit, that counts 600 members from the gaming and blockchain gaming industry, which has for main mission to educate and promote and showcase about the potential use case of blockchain technology within video games for decentralization, NFTs, utility tokens, DAO governance, and other mechanics that can invent new business model that would benefit to the players, to the creators, to the platform. And it will be fair to say that today in 2024, all the games that I see now that use blockchain technology, they are on par or better in terms of quality than the Web2 or free-to-play games. Thinking about Cross the Ages, Shrapnel, Dogami, the Sandbox, etc. And the NFTs or the different token, they have also a real utility. So we're all committed, not just new companies building games, new entrant, but also established companies like Ubisoft, Atari, Square Enix, for example. We made to show what that technology can bring and how it can really, we can change that perception. So hopefully, today, even if it's still early on, and there's a lot of experimentation and business model to be found. It's really unfair to say that most projects and most builders are not serious and creating something that want to change the status quo.
So in a lot of movies, we see that people just living the different world in Metaverse. And then there's another person, even different name, different character, and they can view the totally new world, go to work there, make new friends, everything. And then it's not called virtual anymore. It's just another parallel life. Do you see it gonna happen in the near future?
I already think it's happening, but maybe not in the way that those science fiction movies are projecting. Of course, you look at Ready Player One as a movie, it's projecting a very photorealistic future. We're immersed, everything looks like it's a giant simulation. Honestly, right now, it's already happening. People, whether they are playing and this has been happening for quite some time before with MMORPGs, games like Second Life, World of Warcraft, VR chats, Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite. In any of those games, we enter those worlds and those games, including in Sandbox, by picking up an avatar. And an avatar, to be honest, we should be creative. Like, we have the chance to pick who we want to be. Like, for once, like when we are born in this physical world, we don't get to choose our appearance, in which country we are, our origin, our ethnicity, and many things that will define, unfortunately, a lot of our future. When we enter a new virtual world or a new game, we can really pick who we want to be, choose how we look like, can be a male, female, or non-gendered or non-human persona. And I think it's exciting because like it really kind of like resets like all those social and external factors that could define who we are. So then the others, the players, the communities, they can really value ourselves based on like our action in the world, our contribution to the community and the project, and this new appearance that we've chosen that will include like which equipment, which wearable, which brand, which NFT we bought, and so on. So it's a great reboot in a way that gives new chances to every one of us and can also allow us, specifically if we are like introverts in the physical world, we clearly like we're becoming shy, we don't we are not outgoing. In virtual world, in Metaverse, we have one more chance to like be less shy, to express really what we think, to connect with others, etc. And I'm not surprised now that people are meeting, socializing. We had weddings in the Metaverse already from people who met. Yes.
Wow.
First wedding that happened was in Singapore in 2022, if I'm correct. And then it's still happening in those things. It's a little bit like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when we were saying like, oh, you're meeting people in dating app, Match.com, Meeting, and so on. It's so weird. Now that everybody will use all those apps, it's very normal. So Metaverse and virtual are just a new way for us to connect outside of like I would say the constraint of our physical world, but it's not another reality. Like who we are is still who we are in those virtual world. The memories, the emotion that we share when we play with other people, they stay. Even when we disconnect, they stay, they belong part of us. And so and that's why we enjoy playing and sharing those moments. We have the thrill, the excitement, the dopamine that can be generated from meeting new people. Very often, a lot of studies have shown that entering into a virtual world is almost like going in holidays. Like our mind is cleared from all the tension of the day, etc. So we're opening ourselves again to discovery, to meeting new people, and so on. So we can be a better self in a way. And I think like maybe for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which are born with technology, smartphone, etc., digital assets, Roblox card, they are asking Roblox card for Christmas gifts. They are buying more virtual items than physical items because it doesn't really matter the difference for them, physical or virtual. They are both part of their reality, and it's just an extension of the same. And I tend to think similarly. Like for me, all our experience, our connection, it doesn't matter if they happen in the physical or virtual world, they are both part of our reality.
Yeah. So for Sandbox, definitely, I see the vision. I also see the execution super, fast, and you make from the idea to make it become the biggest, virtual metaverse for now. And also, like you focus a lot on NFT. Anyone also can create their own, things, and then take the ownership for that. So that's amazing. But also, let's go back from the early stage of Sandbox. Because like I know that to build the metaverse super costly, take a lot of time, right? And then also like for now, like Sandbox have hundreds of retailers, brands also in a lot of party, even like Steve Aoki, like Snoop Dogg, and like do the party there, music, like art, entertainment there, right? But what is the main obstacle on the first early day that you need to face with, and then how did you overcome? Because for the journey from building from zero to hero.
Mm-hmm.
This is super important for other founders also can learn from it.
Well, I like you said before, I still believe we're early days, right now. Even if we can think like we execute fast, sometimes we have that frustration. It's never fast enough, and I still probably need 5 to 10 more years to keep really building the vision we have. The exciting thing is when I look back and I look how was Sandbox a year ago and how it is now. It's already so much better in so many aspects. And which are those aspects? What we look at essentially is 3 aspects that we define. One is like the product and the technology. So I think it's the number one challenge, actually. Like you cannot build a great social immersive experience, a different format of entertainment where people enter and do other things than on other platforms, if you don't have underneath a great product and technology. This is the number one constraint. If the technology doesn't allow us to make more than 40 players simultaneously playing together in one instance, we can dream of a metaverse for 1,000 people trying to play, but that's not going to happen. So how do I manage that constraint and I adapt the gameplay for now? Maybe in 5 years it will evolve. Again, we are constrained by the speed of evolution of technology and this deployment. And that's been a limit, like our product, Sandbox, what it enabled creator to do 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. And today, sometimes I regret like why it wasn't like today when I started. It's just like it takes time to mature and get better. Just like it takes time to build great games, great movies, and so on. So I guess now we integrated that and we adapt. The second is like the content. Like great product and technology means nothing if you don't have a great content there to showcase it, actually. And that's why like the partnership with the brands have been essential. But again, like a concert or an experience we built 3 years ago has the same constraints in what it enabled players to do with the product from then versus today. So I wish I'm able to keep building with those top brands you mentioned, Snoop Dogg, Steve Aoki, Gucci, and so on, Rabbit, with a new version. So people can now do like multiplayer games, competition, leaderboards, etc. And the third thing that I think is always a challenge is the ecosystem. As you build a platform and tools for people to create with, not only you can create content yourself, your community of users should be able to build content. And you need to also have an ecosystem that use the platform, the tools, and makes content or onboard more new partners, new projects, new brands, new creators. So that's what we succeed to do. Now we have over 220 certified studios and partners around the world in over 40 countries that we train to use our tools. And I think like without the ecosystem, Sandbox would probably be not as big because we would be still constrained toward like what we as a team can produce or which partnership we can sign. With an ecosystem, you really multiply all of this. Now, the next phase is like decentralization. I think I mentioned like we just launched the DAO. It's a whole new challenge. Like how do we progressively decentralize Sandbox, have a governance where like the community of holder of landlord, like yourself, you can come, you can vote on the decision that you're in favor or not. And democracy is not as intuitive as you think. In a way, like it's not because you have the power to vote that you're going to go there and vote. So now we have to, with the council and the advisor, to engage the community, to go check, to go vote, to express their right to run and govern a world that they're contributing to build. It's almost like a digital nation. And we're learning through it. So I can't wait to see how it evolves. It's very exciting and at the same time a bit scary in a way.
So is there any mistake that you see that, you know, over the years, you wish that it didn't happen and you want to change it if you can, and why?
Oh, well, I guess we all have like tons of mistakes,
yes.
projects that we wish we didn't start, that delay us on the execution.
The biggest one.
Big partnership that didn't convert as we expected. So I know which are the best decisions we took.
Okay.
Then we can jump on that one. But life-changing decision as
what
an
is the
entrepreneur.
life-changing
But because mistake, you'll never know if it was a mistake ultimately. But
it's just like lesson learned at that moment.
A lot of people, our previous investor or advisor, when we were running our game studio, we were having multiple titles. We had Sandbox on one side, and then we had like multiple city builders along that we were creating with those characters, Big, Garfield, etc. Some people told us like you should have been focused and only do Sandbox and Sandbox alone instead of all those games and splitting your time, attention, and development team across them. Yes, but in a way, we would have never met Animoca brands over the years who would be acquiring us a few years later. So we'll never know if it's a mistake in the end, because the outcome is like it's been great that we're part of the group. And the best decision in our life, so there came a point where initially Sandbox, we were the developer, but not the publisher. When we launched it in the first months, and somehow we were very quickly frustrated that the publisher didn't do as much as we expected from them to connect us with the Apple editorial team to be featured at the launch. Back then, the featuring was worth millions of dollars of installs. So prime value to connect us with the press for interview and showcase. So I ended up doing a lot of that personal reach out on my own to solve that. And then the publisher came to us and said, well, you're doing our job. Yeah, but you're taking 30% of our revenue for that. So quickly we decided we just cancel the contract. We pay you back some part, and we just ran on our own, and we made the money back in 1 month, and the game became very successful. I think the second best choice was also like, at some point, we were publishing one of those city builder games with Snoopy. It was a co-production with Activision. And the game was good. It started well. But then from one day to another, Activision team was shut down. 200 people got fired in the American way. From one day to another. And then our main partner literally like disappeared. What's happening to our contract and so on. And at that moment, we didn't have a lot of cash in the studio, but still we decided like we need to go directly to the right holder of Peanuts to buy back the rights from Activision and continue developing it, because we really believe in that game back then, which we did, and it's still on for that.
But luckily that you also had enough capital to buy back.
It's all about negotiation. Like we couldn't pay the cash up front, but we guaranteed we will pay you back over several installments or 6 months. That was a commitment.
Yes.
But it's a kind of decision that can be very stressful as well. If you don't have the cash, you're not sure about your product, and suddenly your main revenue source got shut down, and you have still like a team of 60 people that work on this game for a long time, and then you have to cover their salary and you don't know how. So that's a good decision. Maybe last tip, when we were raising the seed round of the Sandbox, the blockchain version this time with Animoca brand, Square Enix, True Global Venture, and Hashed, we were looking for the lead investor in the round. And we found Hashed was interested to be, but ultimately there was like they were not sure if they would be investing $500,000 or $1 million over the 4.5 million in the round. And they came out after we did a several like due diligence, pitching, and all the process. They say, "Oh, we're going to invest 500." I said, "No, it's 1 million or nothing." It was really like, wow, that moment. Like, look, they work hard, we work hard. If they're interested, they have to make the commitment. They have the money. So that was kind of a moment. Yeah. So we were like maybe a little bit too optimistic, but that turned out well. And also one thing is like, we set ourselves as a goal that when we would be launching the token Sand, we would only launch it on an exchange once we have a good user base, and only one of the 5 top exchanges would accept us. So back then, Binance, Bithumb, Huobi, and Kraken. So it took us some time. Like we got a lot of proposals, always a temptation to list with a smaller exchange.
So you always like go top down.
Yes, we really wanted to focus only on the top exchange. And I think it paid off overall, because at that moment, it was after 2 years of waiting, it came out that Binance was reopening their launchpad. And we were one of the projects. Actually, we were 2 gaming projects featured for the reopening of their launchpad. It was Axie Infinity and ourselves. I think it really contributed to really boost and propel like blockchain gaming back in 2020. And we were glad to be part of that and like, having them as a partner.
Yeah. So before you just mentioned that your team always like, you know, a bit of positive, but always like keep believing in what you building.
Yes.
And of course, that's for the builder, but how you can, you know, transfer that spirit to the team, even that, you know, for Metaverse is so early stage.
So I believe it's well, definitely the founders' vision, and we're very passionate. Like you can feel it, right? Like I have this passion. Like every day I wake up, I'm super happy to see what the community is creating. Like that's our mission, and like that's why I enjoy like traveling, going to conference, keep speaking after and showing our progress. And I believe it's probably have been a communicative passion, because like everyone in the team say like we all love the mission of Sandbox to like empower people. Like we are one of the leading projects in Web3, but we have concretely a product, utility is not just hype, you know. And that has led to have like not just myself be able to communicate that passion, but also head of growth in different regions, in Hong Kong, in Korea, in Japan, in Thailand, Singapore, in Turkey, in India, and here now in Vietnam as well, who are representing the Sandbox on the ground 365 days a year. So when I just come for 2 days to speak, and they can carry that vision, they can continue the work to onboard the partners, to onboard the creators, and so on. And so it's also thanks a lot to the team that can execute and carry the vision after that we've been able to achieve, I guess, like such like a global success.
So you just mentioned about, you know, like the creator and a lot of also like KOL, celebrities joining Sandbox and then create a lot of different things there. So and my question is like, when I read all the news and article about like, oh, new brand, you know, new celebrity joining, I was just questioning like, how did you can invite and attract all of them to do all of those things in Sandbox, and how make them also believe in it, in that world?
So I guess when we tried to convince the first brand, like it was a much longer conversation. Back then, like brands didn't have even a clue what is Web3, what is an NFTs, a lot more onboarding and education. And then we convinced Care Bears, then The Walking Dead, and Atari as the first brand. It took us 12 months of conversation. And then after, like by snowball effect and the fact that they could already see previous example live on the platform, they definitely it came much faster. I wouldn't say it's 1 day or 1 week. It's still like a few months of conversation, but we're able to onboard those brands. On the other side, like beside brands and celebrities, music artists, Sandbox has also like we've been focusing the past 12 months on like being more creator driven, onboarding new first-time creators to the platform. Today, we're really proud. Like we just passed 1,000 experiences made by like individual creators and small team live on the platform that can be played on their lands. And it's the result of like opening the publishing to the landowners and encouraging more and more creators through those events to onboard, educating them, running boot camps, running game jam. So game jam are like time limited competition where like people can submit a game made with Sandbox.
Yes.
Based on a thematic, whether one from an IP, let's make a game with Snoop Dogg in it, or Steve Aoki of The Walking Dead, or any general thematic. And that has helped to onboard hundreds or thousands of new creators. And some of them will go, the winners, like there's a top 10, they will go through the end of the process, they will publish on the land, and they would earn sand and land as rewards, plus being featured on the land of their favorite celebrity, which has been very attractive. And we accelerated that this year. We don't have just 1 or 2 game jam a year, we have 30 to 50. So there's a lot more reasons for someone. I don't like creating for this thematic, but I love creating a game for Care Bears. And that's how we appeal to new creators along the way.
Can you share the most memorable story?
Creators? Yeah. Oh, wow, there's so many. Like every time I travel, I come to those conferences, I get to meet in person, and then they share like how it's been impactful life journey for them. Some of them after COVID or during COVID, they had lost their job. They were like on the bridge of not being able to pay for their rent, etc. And Sandbox really came as a solution for them to earn a new revenue by creating, participating in those game jam and contests, receiving grants on some project. And now today they run like studios with not huge studios, like 5-10 people for most of them. And it's been life-changing. So this is really kind of like story that for me is like great to share. Another one that like at the beginning of the year, we ran something called the Builder Challenge. It's been a 10 weeks long program where like we rewarded 1.5 million sand to the creator who publish an experience on their map and bring the most traffic to the platform. The top 10 creator, like the quality of the game has been amazing. Like really, even ourselves sometimes we're surprised. Like that's the beauty of UGC. Like, wow, like how did they even do that or think about this or that? And so the winner, the number one, won 400,000 sand, which is roughly 250,000 US dollar today, which is a lot of money for an individual, you know, like, and even if they earn 4 or 5 figures in the top 10, it's still significant enough, maybe to make you to become a full-time job or at least bring a substantial part-time revenue. And that's ultimately the goal we're aiming, like how over time Sandbox will enable people to earn a part-time or full-time revenue from being a creator in the metaverse, enjoying like true digital ownership and like the ability to bring to life your imagination with cool brands.
So actually now with the imagination, with the creativeness, they create their own great things and contribute to Sandbox, and they also can like do like kind of side business for them, and then they take all the ownership for that.
Yeah, that's really the creator economy. But on most platforms, creator economy is not new. You already see that on YouTube, on social media, Instagram. But the portion you earn of the revenue, it's actually very small, or it's only derived from like advertisement. And advertisement is not a great business model per se, because if you look deeply how it is, it's basically a platform are collecting the data of user behaviors without their consent most of the time. So like regulator had to come and adjust that to sell that data to advertisers so they can better target you to sell you products through their ads. So basically users are being like tracked in their activity online without their consent. Their activity, which normally is their data that they should own, so they should decide and how they can be used by who and how it's monetized. And I think that's really a solution that blockchain, Web3 is trying to change, by the way, like giving back power to users, to creators, allowing them to own their content, to choose how they monetize, and not being like in business model that rely on collecting that data and monetizing it without their consent.
So how about for companies, for corporate, for retailers, for all institutions? Like, do they also see that the impact of it in their business and monetize it for this stage yet?
I think they can start seeing the impact of it from multiple aspects. Monetizing, it's too early because like we need to build like the audiences and the habits to buy in the metaverse.
Yeah.
But in Web3, like you really have two main benefits so far. The first one is most of those brands, when they are publishing content on their social media accounts, actually they have no control over who receive the content that's being displayed on their social feed, even though they contributed to build those audience for their own page. Sometimes they invested money actually to grow those page, etc. So they totally lost the control of their audience, the reach to their audience. And the only way that they get it is by paying as an advertiser to the platform. So they are stuck in this system. And the more they're going to spend, the more like the platform will keep doing that and even sometimes increase the price, have no control. What Web3 solve here is like basically it's rebuilding the link towards the audience, because now the brand, by giving an NFT or selling an NFT to a user, have a permanent link to that user through his wallet address. The brand doesn't need anymore to pay a platform to target the wallet, to own the wallet. Whereas when you do use social media, YouTube and so on, you don't have the email of the user, you don't have a way to reach a specific user, so you never know who get your product advertisement, etc. So Web3 really comes as a solution we call like ownership relation management instead of CRM, customer relationship management, based on like the data ownership and digital asset like NFTs. And platform like Sandbox for brands is essentially providing a solution for brand loyalty and engagement to them. Let me explain. Like those brands, they would launch on Sandbox on their land, an experience where they would invite their fans, their community to come and to explore a 3D virtual world that they created or we created with them or for them. And that will be immersive, that will be gamified, that will include like various quests that the users have to go on different part of the map of that land to complete. Requires some action, jumping, platforming, fighting, talking to character, dancing, and various fun things that they cannot do in a physical world, first of all. And the second is like, it's not passive. Like when you put a content on social media, like basically it's a video or photo, people will spend 10 seconds to watch it. Sometimes they don't even watch the whole video. And they scroll and they move to the next. How can you engage a user? How you can share your message, your value
or
to
even
someone,
educate them, right?
Educate them in 10 seconds and give them the chance to explore, spend time. So that the format that the social media has created is imposing a certain way to deliver in 10 seconds a maximum of information, but like it's still limited.
So in how virtual Sandbox world can help?
Exactly. In Sandbox, like we help because people, again, like they come as tourists in the metaverse. They spend, they have time to explore. They have time to educate themselves. And we see that they spend 20 to 40 minutes on average in an experience. 20 to 40 minutes is a lot of time versus 10 seconds. Just that, imagine how much you have to pay on a social media platform to capture 20 minutes of a user attention. And then you also can reward those users for the time they spend. So we see like 95% of the audience who enter a land from a brand would complete all the quests until they receive the reward. The reward can be an NFT, a digital asset. Sometimes it's also like a physical product that they can come and claim at an event, a ticket to a VIP experience. Or if it's an NFT, you establish a link, again, back to this idea of ORM. So then you can re-engage with that NFT and offer other type of benefits in Web3 or IRL, like phygital and so on. So even if the audience are small, the cost to produce an experience, the cost to acquire land is insignificant compared to what they would spend in Web2. And it contributes to build finally an audience that they can re-engage and that they can address to share their value much more creatively. And it doesn't stop there. Like some brands, again, with a game jam, they even open themselves to co-creation. There is a lot of positive value in a brand in encouraging their audience to be creative with them. Like It's basically like, let's invent a world, let's build new story, let's go and discover together. You gain new skills, we feature your content. That's also something that brands can win.
Yeah, but also another thing that like it needs to be easy for the user.
And that's why like Sandbox with a no-code game maker is probably one of the easiest solutions available. Yes.
Yeah, because like if it's a lot of like, you know, application, a lot of
yes.
Yeah, but
if you have to learn a programming language, you already put a barrier.
Exactly.
Also think about that. Programming language are all in English.
Yeah.
You leave alone a good part of the world, people who are native in some country but didn't learn English yet at high school.
Yes.
So yes, I believe that Sandbox is one of the easiest solutions available right now to create game because it's no code. What you don't realize is like as soon as you have a programming language, it's already a high barrier.
Yeah.
It's hard, it requires to learn the logic. It's in English, which also like restrict access to a good part of the world specifically, and to youngest because they haven't yet learned about English until a certain grade.
Yeah, so that is like, you know, so promising future for Metaverse, and I'm so excited about that. What do you see, you know, NFT and Metaverse gonna be in the next decade? And what is the key revolution, the key thing, the key impact that you see in the future that it can also impact to the normal Web2 world, not only in the Metaverse? Yeah.
Well, I think like the Metaverse will keep like evolving based on product and technology to allow us to have like even deeper and richer social interaction, allow us to explore lands and experiences that are more than games. So virtual concerts, virtual shows, art galleries, and so on. And have like new form of interaction as well with our avatars via emotes. Maybe also, we didn't talk so much about it, but the Metaverse is like multi-device. It's not just VR, it's not just PC or web or Mac. It can involve like XR, AR, and so on. So that will probably blend, and as users will spend more and more time, not just playing, but also learning, educating, socializing, maybe now like starting to do commerce and buying content, it will become more naturally integrated into our day-to-day habits. I think also that where we are, again, back at like the evolution of technology, we might be able to have like experiences that involve hundreds of users simultaneously, maybe more. We also are going to see the development of like more blockchain-based ecosystem. So when we started building Sandbox, Ethereum was basically the main and only blockchain that was available with the largest developer ecosystem and application ecosystem, like marketplaces, DEX, and tools for developers. Today, it's much more nuanced. There's still Ethereum and EVM-based, Polygon, Immutable X, Avalanche, Aptos, Binance Smart Chain, and so on. So there's a greater choice for developer, but it feels it's a little bit more fragmented as well. If I'm a developer and I choose to build, let's say on Solana, how do I connect my digital asset and my community of users potentially to the others who are already on Ethereum and so on. So those bridge doesn't exist. I think the way I see the evolution of blockchain and the technology now, we're all talking about like cross-chain solution, account abstraction solution, which like that will progressively abstract for the end user the complexity, like on which chain it's being built upon. So that like all those different ecosystems that keeps growing, attracting more users, but do not become like silo that do not communicate with each other, but can really exist as like chains of chains, kind of. And like we have this super network at the end that people can use. And ultimately, the best success of integration of Web3 and blockchain is like end user will no longer think about it. It's becoming natural. So I believe that true digital ownership is a fundamental right. internet should have been built on that 25 years ago, but the technology wasn't there yet. But that doesn't mean that we cannot correct that over time. And the adoption will come progressively from the Gen Z, the Gen Alpha, for which like it's so natural. It's a little bit like now we're all used to like stream music online. We don't no longer go back to the radio tape. If you ask to Gen Alpha, like, and you show them a radio tape player, say, what is this thing? Like, we used to listen music on that, and the sound is terrible. But they will think the same from like, how was it possible that you were buying or creating content and it was not yours, and you cannot use it anywhere else, and you cannot connect it here or there? In what kind of world did you live in? Like, we feel like so prehistoric, you know? Like, that's how I see technology evolve in that sense.
So what about meme coin? It's growing very fast for the last months. What do you think about it?
So it's really interesting. I think like meme coin have the potential to capture attention and to create new characters based on like either like simple graphics, sense of humor, and like really a strong feeling of like community ownership. Like those meme coins start from the community. Most of them, they have no utility, no roadmap. They just exist for the simple state of like the cultural zeitgeist and so on. But there's been an over financialization, people trying to make rich with them on the short term that kind of like for me is not going to be viable on the long run. But the meme coin themselves, they hold this potential of like maybe the next Disney IP will come from one of those. Pepe, Meme, Shiba, Dogs Wizard, etc. Those are now like characters, part of our culture that we would see a lot around us. I wouldn't say everywhere yet. And that certain generation and certain community already recognize and identify too. So that's everything about like how like the first comic book characters started about. Before they became popular, they have this kind of like appeal that people want to build stories and they are likable. I think like this attention should be monetized in a much different way that we're thinking about right now. I think like I was reading the interview with Vitalik. He's very right that normally we should think about how we can use meme coins, for example, to support charities, to support like good cause and impact rather than for just personal gain. And because personal gain is always at the detriment of someone else, and it's short-lived. All those rugs are not going to help. And we've seen that before. Like every time in the blockchain gaming industry with the Blockchain Game Alliance, we're trying to build trust. We're trying to build a reputation and show that blockchain game is a serious business. We're creating something to empower players and creators. And suddenly there is one thing a bad story that came, and all our efforts, 90% of people doing good thing are being hurt because there's this 10% of bad actors. So I really wish that meme coin, which can capture attention and rally people, it can be used in a much smarter way to show like, yes, we can bring more people to Web3. Yes, we can use platforms like Sandbox to, I don't know, like to create stories, to invent worlds, to give a space, a 3D space where those characters can evolve, create games with them, and expand for the community to have fun, rather than just, again, about like speculation and financial gain.
So it's not actually not like people just think that, oh, meme coin is just like for pump and dump, and it's just like, you know, for the...
No, I think like we should really look at the cultural aspect and how like we can build content, we can build stories, we can develop universe, storytelling, and drive all that creativity, because like literally that's what you see on social media. Like they invent various jokes, they create images. Instead of just putting 2D or video or GIF, how about we use up all the energy to create exciting, fun games, etc. So we'll have something to announce about that at Sandbox, seeing like how decentralized, community-owned meme coin can also be entering the metaverse. Little bit like how those PFE collection of NFT started in 2021, and hopefully drive and channel that energy and that creativity in something useful and impactful.
Wow, that's great. Exciting. So, okay, before we wrap up, I would like to ask you several questions more about the journey of the entrepreneur. This like,
Yes.
yeah, there's some advice for the,
Yes.
young entrepreneur. So what is the best advice you want to share with the young fathers?
I think it's one is like don't forget, like, you still need to build a good product or service at the core to support on the mid and long term, like your community, your token holders, etc. So tokens can be a very powerful instrument for driving community engagement, raising funds, and so on. But if you don't have at the core a good product or service, it will be very short-lived. And as soon as the attention of that community of you investor and token holders vanish, which can be literally months, or as soon as like the first unlock period arrive on your token release schedule, and the price of your token drops, it's very hard to deliver on the product fast enough to compensate back and reestablish the trust. And the opposite is true. Like, as soon as you have a good community, a good product, then like the word of mouth will help your token to keep growing while you have more and more adoption and engagement. So I would say, I would recommend a lot of founders like to not be distracted. Like tokens is a product by its own, but if you don't build a good service at the core, or good product at the core, the token, the distribution it brings, etc., will then not be sufficient. Even if it has a good narrative, even if it has a good value proposition initially, the utility of the token is still related to an app or service at the core.
So how did Sandbox view the good community?
Well, we started by like attracting artists with our 3D tool called Vox Edit to make and animate their static content, and then with a game maker to make games with a static content. So somehow artists now could become game creator for the first time. And we didn't talk about yet like the token. We just say like, if we mint them as NFT, you'll be able to sell them. So it's a new revenue source for you. Artists, unfortunately, even if they are the most creative people in the video game industry, they are also the least paid people. Surprisingly, like engineers, programmers, developers gets paid so much more than the 3D artists.
Yes.
It's across a lot of industries, unfortunately. So we brought a good value proposition for them to like change that situation, to make an extra revenue. And as they became part of Sandbox, they embraced the vision, they understood what we can bring. And once we introduced the token, like they saw the benefit of it on the content they've been creating for some time with us. So that was really the first step to work.
So how did you start to learn for coding building? You just say that you learn it by yourself, online tutorial.
Yes, that's right.
And then I see that nowadays, most of the young generation, Gen Z, you know, they always learn that way. They also don't read books.
I guess like when we're very passionate about a topic, you know, like I was curious, I want to learn more.
Exactly.
So that's how I got like to learn about programming by myself when I was probably 13. I started to write my own script and my own application. I always looked at for tutorials. Back then you didn't watch videos or streamers. I think now today it's a great way to learn by yourself, following other creators that share tips. Something that we apply at Sandbox community. Reading the white paper about Bitcoin, reading tutorial about like everything around blockchain, and in a way, when we look at other, something that when I look at other products, I tend to, I don't just play a game. I deconstruct the game to understand, what is the mechanics, the core loop, the meta gameplay, the progression of the economy, things like that. So it's maybe overanalyze things to understand why is it successful? Why does that make me want to buy something at this time? What I love about this screen and how simple that tutorial was, and how then I aggregate that information to like generally think how I can improve what I'm currently working on. So in Sandbox typically.
So since what age you see your passion about gaming?
Well, probably around 13, yeah.
Wow,
It's,
very, very early.
yes.
Yeah. Also another thing that, so do you see that Sandbox also through the games, you can have educate the young people learning?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think like people say like video games are not a great medium for learning. Like you don't really get good, positive outcome because like games are violent, etc.
Yeah.
No, just one category of game, like maybe shooting game, etc. And still like there is good skill because you learn like to react fast, to detect things, and so on. But I believe like metaverse and virtual world have a lot of very positive educative content for the younger generation. One, like you learn how to position yourself and evolve within a 3D special environment, how to interact with other users, how to find clues, and also more specifically with the user-generated content, creator economy, you actually learn a lot of positive skill like iterative thinking,
Yes.
level design, game design, creative thinking, to imagine storytelling, to imagine worlds.
Yes.
And like even if you imagine like by trial and error, it's also a learning process.
Yes.
And those skills are actually very positive in the modern jobs and society. Also, now with blockchain and NFTs and cryptocurrency, you also gain like financial literacy. And I recommend to apply it to the younger generation as early as possible because like our world, our finance world is complex. And the later like you start understanding about like saving, about staking, about yield, about like all those strategies to make decisions for like creating your own personal wealth, the later you start to understand that, the less prepared you are toward like the modern society and jobs. And so if there is in Asia specifically, I see like they start really early on, like financial literacy, and it tends to like really help them, prepare them better for like creating their own personal wealth for the future, their saving plans, and better consumption habits that allow them to build property and digital or physical property over the future.
Yeah. So actually in Vietnam, gaming also big here. A lot of game studio, but of course that not super big like in Korea or in America, but also like many like small game studio, and then they also follow the trend very, very fast. And then I don't know, like during the last day when you come to Vietnam, did you talk to many other game projects and many other founders? What do you think about the potential of this market compared to other?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's great. Like we see a lot of like GameFi and game project here in Vietnam. They are inspired by local success like Axie Infinity and a few other, and they are copying, but copying and improving a little bit over time, which is a great way, I think, as well through iteration to succeed. So that's important, and hopefully that will keep growing a local industry and position Vietnam on the world map as like a gaming hub, both from the creator side and from the player side as well. One thing also I forgot to say, like why I believe like gaming is, and gamers are usually the people who take the best decision because they're constantly challenged with making choices when they have to manage for their progression in the game on like, oh, I just earned 1,000 coins after progressing to the new level. How I'm going to spend those 1,000 coins to level up my character, which skills to optimize the outcome for the next mission, the next quest, the best equipment, the best price ratio for the different attributes and so on. So we've seen that people who play board games, who play RPG games, who play now a lot of games where like they have to make constantly those decisions, they tend to be better prepared for making business decisions in the future because they understand like budgeting, understanding like how to make decisions based on the different outcomes and the budget they have.
Yeah, so actually I see that for Asia, we have many games projects, but also I'll see one of the barriers is that they can build the product good, or even that they can copy very fast, but not so many projects also can think out the box, or even can bring it to the global level. And what is your advice for them to?
I think like you're right, like they build great product, but maybe they're not yet fully familiar with like distribution, go to market. That might come with decentralization, like they are no longer limited only to the Vietnamese market, but they can reach to the world. We've seen as well that usually it takes a few generations of entrepreneur to succeed. Like first generation succeed, they become mentor or investor in the second generation of entrepreneurs. So they start to share tips, and there is a progressive knowledge sharing. So we are still probably at that first generation of game in Vietnam that are succeeding. We need to see how the employees from those companies, the founders of those companies are going to create a new local industry by like changing, funding their own startups and so on, to tap into that. And I think Vietnam can learn very fast with their proven, like now, a lot of like consulting company and tech companies, they outsource the development to Vietnam for the quality of their engineers, for the quality of like the infrastructure in business. So it's just a matter of time until like we're seeing as well a new boom in gaming, and both like development, production, and hopefully distribution.
Yeah, we also very happy that actually Vietnam is like top 5 country outsourcing for blockchain over the world. And also for GameFi, we also have like ASEAN Infinities, like very big. Also like they attract a lot of like, you know, community playing that game. Also have many others like, you know, inspiring story. But I also hope that today your story also can inspire much more other founders, other builders, and also even community builders can learn from your amazing journey. And thank you so much for your sharing. I learned a lot today, and I really hope that we can, you know, have more time to go deeper. But today, thank you so much with this like.
My pleasure. I hope so. We're really just getting started here in Vietnam, but I'll come back. I hope to speak and see you at IF Vietnam and other conference here. So like very excited by the potential.
Thank you so much. Thank you.